Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, and in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Thursday. Matt and Patrick here today. Also joining us to begin the show, our good friend Cliff Schecter, as he is kind enough to join us today to talk about the issues. Of course, if you're not going to his YouTube page, you're wrong, mainly because he just put a nice video up of mine. That just went up there.
Of course.
Thank you, Cliff.
I mean, could any good channel really exist without Matt McNeil up there? Come on.
Hey, by the way, I got a nice compliment for you. Last week, I was out at an event called Drinking Liberally. I had a guy come up and said, saw you when you were in town for Sexy Liberal here in Minneapolis. And he says that we got to bring you back. And it's just you and I talking politics on a stage, and that was his idea. And I thought maybe you and I could do this in Chicago. We could do that here. I think that maybe we should try to figure something like that out.
I'd love to do it. Absolutely. I mean, I think you're going to have to do the selling of the tickets, though. I may have like 3 people who buy them because of me. But as long as your vast popularity in the Minneapolis area can do it, or Chicago, I think that might work. I mean, I'm having fun, obviously, but I mean, I'd love to come talk politics to you anytime.
Well,
so,
and I will. I've heard so many people talk about how great it was to see you here in town a few weeks back. And so, no, I think that wouldn't be a big deal. You'll have to, I got a fold-out couch. You'll have to sleep on that. Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, I mean, I've met your family. They seem pretty nice. So, that's cool. That's cool. Pets, good. I mean, I'm not Christy Noem. You don't have to worry about me. We're not going for a walk to the gravel pit. I think everything would work out fine. No, seriously. And I should say it was very kind of people to say nice things. It was great meeting people. I really enjoyed the grope and
meet and grope. Yeah, that's what we did with Stephanie Miller there. Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and getting the Matt McNeil folks. You should pay for the Matt McNeil tour of Minneapolis, because I'm going to tell you. Oh, and St. Paul. Yes. You get both, because he knows stuff that like nobody else knows. I swear, I learned so much stuff from him, and I went for a walk across that cool bridge that I can't remember the name of anymore. They shut down.
Stone Arch Bridge. Yeah.
See I told my father-in-law, who used to be in the lumber business, about Skid Row and see, I remember my lessons and how they used the water power there to move the lumber down the river, I believe. And who knows? I learned a thing or two. I am now smarter because of Matt McNeil.
It's a healthy tour when I take you to every place I've been busted. So, it's always good fun on that.
It shows most of his old drug haunts and, back when he was a pimp, but everything else was clean. I was
trying to get through college. I was desperate. Okay. Let's talk about Samuel Alito's little minx of a wife, who apparently has put up a second flag. This, I guess, is it his Long Island summer vacation home. He put up another January 6th separatist flag, this one tied to the far-right evangelicals. And once again, when we found the first flag, that he put the American flag upside down at his house, his whole argument was, it was my wife, it was up for a few weeks, I had nothing to do with it. Now he's gone silent as it's become apparent that, no, he's actually on the side of the January 6th insurrectionists.
Right. So is he like trying to become an amusement park, like Six Flags? Is that what's going on here?
Worst amusement park ever.
Exactly. It'd be like, hi, this is the theme park you come to watch an insurrectionist bore you literally to death, talking about theories of controlling women's rights from 15th century guys who believe in marital rape. Yeah, that's what would be. It's the best amusement park you can imagine. First of all, when you think about the fact that idiot, and I'm glad I can't think of his name right now, kicker from Kansas City from the Chiefs,
Butker. Butker.
Well, I should be able to think of that, right? Yeah, Butker, right? Mm-hmm. My wife, I think she's found the most meaningful, the most meaningful part of her life has been in serving me and being a mom, being a wife. Hey, she's the one who put up the flag, though. It was her. I have no agency. I mean, that's the right for you, right? Like, the wife is servile and does nothing but pump out babies and say, yes, sir, no, sir. Can I help you, sir? Except for when it comes to all the bad stuff the men do, then it was the wife's fault. Just blame her. So the fact that's part of it just shows how full of crap they all are. But and you add in the fact that he lied about his wife. Like, we've been gradually finding out that he is just as much of a tool, just as intellectually out of his depth, just as much of a liar and a cretin and corrupt as Clarence Thomas. And I feel like this was that final act where he's no better than Clarence Thomas, the two of them. In every single way, you could not be qualified to be in a Supreme Court or not qualified to be in a Supreme Court. It kind of makes you wish, remember Harriet Miers? Kind of makes you wish we had let them put her on the court.
No.
Because clearly she was more qualified than Alito, who only got on there because we blocked her.
One of the things that's interesting about this, because today we had this Supreme Court ruling that basically said the South Carolina election maps can stand, even though they clearly are designed to lessen the impact of African American voters. The six Republican justices went along with this. Is part of the agenda here that you have Alito and Thomas as the extremist far right of the Supreme Court to basically make it look like the other four, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Amy, and Roberts, make it seem like we're the voice of reason as we uphold this, racist election map. I mean, is that kind of the whole game here?
Well, was it a 7-2 decision? I'm sorry. Oh, no, it was a 6-3 decision in favor of them, right?
I believe so, yeah.
I think he wrote the opinion. Alito wrote the opinion. And from my understanding, reading legal analysts, did it in such a way as to try to invalidate other attempts to make these cases based on race, because that's the kind of scumbag he is. But I've always felt like it's a 3-tiered right-wing Supreme Court. Gorsuch usually joins these two nuts.
Yeah.
I've usually felt like you've got, I'm being serious here, like as much as I think you have 3 outright fascists on the court, just fascists, right? Franco-type fascists. I'm not saying they're Hitler or whatever, though who knows, but they're at the very least, they're your garden variety fascists. Then you've got 2 of what I would call ultra-right authoritarians, and that would be Kavanaugh and Coney Barrett, who break with the 3 biggest nuts some of the time, not most of it. And then you've got Roberts, who's just a traditional, very conservative, right? Who's not a fascist, but gives in enough to kiss their butts, and is scared to take them on. So I think he just is, he's to the left of them. He's only very right wing. And that's what you've got, so I do. I think those 3, the 2 you mentioned, you throw in Gorsuch, they often make the other 3. Geez, they make a religious nut and a blackout drunk who harassed women both look more moderate somehow in comparison. It's amazing.
Well, and Gorsuch is an odd duck because he does seem to get it right on Native American issues. He understands treaties supersede the Constitution, but that's the only thing that comes with any kind of level of common sense with that dude. It feels as
That's what tells me that there's somebody Native American in his family, because if I've learned anything about people that right wing is if it doesn't impact them, they don't care. Yeah. So somewhere along the line, it makes me suspect there's somebody Native American, so he actually cares about that, whereas he doesn't care about other people.
This whole concept of a Supreme Court whose goal is to push an anti-American, anti-Constitution agenda that is clearly designed for a fascist regime. It is terrifying, and the fact that they're so blatant about it, that Clarence Thomas has taken his RVs without even batting an eye as he hangs out with the Hitler fan, and Alito is out there flying flags he's gotten autographed from, it seems like he's gotten autographed
when
from
he's not flying to Rome for free.
Oh, yeah. Right. Well, those 5-star, those trips are delightful. I'd sell out my soul for those. But
of course. And remember, the only reason he did it is because there was an empty seat on the plane. Yes. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it.
And he sure as heck wasn't going to give it to his wife. She needs to stay home and, keep the house clean.
She needs to stay home and put up all the flags.
Exactly.
She's busy. She's busy flying flags of sedition and insurrection and against the Constitution of the United States of America. Come on.
Does Alito have a European place, and what flag is flying outside of that one? Yeah,
I can draw it for you if you like. Look, there's 2 things that need to happen, right? The one big one we all know, we talk about all the time. We need to absolutely destroy them in November, as we've been doing. Forget the polls. We've been doing this in every special election. In the midterms we did, where we've been winning 10, 20 points above what the polls say we're going to do. Just happened again in Maryland, where even in a Democratic primary, where the African-American woman they had her behind the rich white guy, by anywhere from 1 to 6 points, and she won by 8.
Yes.
Gee, I wonder which groups they were undercounting in their polling. So you see this again and again. I have a lot of confidence. If everybody turns out, we are going to win all the states we won, and we will win North Carolina. I think we'll win Florida, and I think we have a shot at Texas and Ohio even, because they're doing Dobbs and in vitro fertilization, and you see it, happening again. They're still making these arguments. They're going after birth control right now in Louisiana.
Yeah.
They're not going to stop. This is their agenda. They want to. Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee said that Griswold versus Connecticut was badly argued. That was the case, folks, that gave everybody a right to birth control. So maybe in a year from now, she can go to Dayton, Tennessee, celebrate the 100th year anniversary of the Scopes monkey trial, and declare evolution illegal to teach too. I don't know, just for a fun getaway for her. But I mean, this is who they are. So first, we have to crush them. Yes. Ted Cruz, Rick Scott, any vulnerable seat. We need to have a bigger Senate majority. We need to take the House back. Biden needs to win big. And then it's on. Part 2 is we need to take on the Supreme Court. And when I say it's on, I don't mean violence or anything of that sort. We need to have enough folks so we can get rid of the filibuster, and we need to change this stuff is not in the Constitution. How many justices should be on the court? We have not added to the court since something like 1837, 8, I want to say. And this country's grown by, I think, but since that time, 10-fold, 11-fold, something like that. So we can't even, it's beyond even politics. They can't even take most of the cases that we need decided for law so that we can be a modern society. That court needs to have 4 members added to it immediately. And I think it needs to honestly have 8 more members in a sort of staggered way over the next 10 years, decade, 12 years, that kind of thing. That would depoliticize it too, because only some members would be on each case. And then obviously, I mean, these two need to be absolutely investigated. And when we get to all of that, maybe we can have some legitimacy to our state, to our country's highest court again. But there's literally no legitimacy here. They are corrupt. They are dishonest. They're despicable. They're cruel. There's just nothing about any of their decisions that should make anybody. We follow them because of the law, although at some point they take that too far. We'll see when people are not willing to take it anymore. Yeah. But and again, I'm not pushing for violence, but I mean, at some point when there was slavery, people said we must do something about it, or Jim Crow, or things that, what we did to Native Americans that are just so beyond the pale that, so let's resolve it peacefully, kick their butts in November, and then change the court.
And that's how we have to do it. Yeah, investigate Alito immediately. Let's take a break, come back. Cliff Schecter joins us. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Whoa, it's the Matt McNeil Show on your Thursday. Cliff Schecter kind enough to join us today. Once again, Cliff's Edge is the YouTube page. I'll make sure I link to all that a little bit later on. Cliff, I got to introduce most of the listeners, especially everyone in Chicago, to a guy named Royce White. I saw Royce White play basketball at high school because I'm in that school district he played in. He was a guy that always was a little off, though. He played college basketball. I think eventually ended up at Iowa State. He had some issues. He couldn't fly. He has a fear of flying, so that kind of ended his career. And then he ended up doing mixed martial arts, but somehow he got involved in politics. Now, Amy Klobuchar, the U.S. Senator, is up for re-election this year. She's going to win, hands down. I mean, it really is. She's liked even in a lot of the red areas of the state, so she's going to win handily. That being said, the Republicans still have to run somebody. They had this one business guy who didn't seem very interested, but for some reason, and we talked about this on Monday on my show, the Republican Party of Minnesota moved forward the Senate endorsement, and Royce White, who has $10,000 worth of campaign funds, $5,000 worth of debt, has really no one even knew he was running for Senate, wins the Republican endorsement in Minnesota to run against Amy Klobuchar. And that's when they decided maybe we should take a look at this guy's social media, because this guy is a clown car of insanity. He is nuts.
Yes. Well, speaking for the Jewish lobby,
yes,
which I know he has a serious problem with.
Yes.
He's a virulent anti-Semite. He came up with COVID conspiracy theories, and I shared numerous others. It's a shame, I think, as you said, because it's worse than a shame. It's detrimental and harmful and will hurt people. It's a shame in that he seems to have certain kinds of mental illness, And this is what the Republicans prey upon, right? This is what MAGA preys upon. It draws in people that are insecure and angry, resentful. They always don't know what it is about. Because initially, from what I read, he was out there protesting what happened to George Floyd. And somehow it didn't matter. They saw this guy as somebody. Steve Bannon recruited him, which should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Bannon looks around. Bannon is evil, and I can go on. He hasn't showered for months. And he smells like old socks that have been dumped in a dumpster with a big pile of meth on top of them. I could go on, but I'll just stop it there and get to what I want to say, which is he is this evil guy who looks around for the type of person, and in your state, this guy has a little bit of fame for exactly the reason you said, because he was a famous high school basketball player. He played in college. I think he didn't even go pro for a little bit. I don't think he played for very long because of what you're saying, and ended up sort of flaming out. But the point being, it's a reminder of like a Herschel Walker type situation, right? And it's also a reminder of that because they're always looking for tokens too. Where can we find somebody Jewish? Where can we find somebody black? Where can we find somebody Latino? Where can we find somebody gay to pretend? Because if they put window dressing on all of it, to all the folks who are willing to sell out their own communities, and they can pretend that they really aren't the white nationalists that they are. Yeah. White Christian nationalists is what I should say. And so he fills all of those functions, right? He's got that little bit of fame. They love fake celebrities, Instagram influencers and former, half-assed athletes. Sorry if I wasn't supposed to say that on here.
Oh, no, he's half-assed, yes.
Okay, I didn't know if I could say the ass word, but apparently I can. And also, people that kind of, your Chachis, I'm sure he'll run eventually for something. I mean, kind of actors that never, this is kind of the group of, to steal a phrase, deplorables who they bring together. They bring together people that have failed at all of these various pursuits, but maybe built a little bit of fame along the way and will sell out their mother for, George Santos was that kind of a guy. I mean, what's her name? Paula Maria Luna, whatever. She's changed her name because she's a fraud, just like she changed the story about her dad, the story about her family and all of that. So I don't even actually know what her real name is, but she changed it to the half of her family is Latina, and it turns out that she was an Instagram influencer. Great, let's get her out there. I mean, this is what they do. Substance means nothing because they don't have any substance. They don't have any policies. Their policy is all based on human emotion, resent, hate, that kind of thing.
Well, and it should be noted, not only is he anti-Semite, he's an insane misogynist. He is multiple times repeatedly used the C word for women on social media. He seems to be anti-homophobic, or he's anti-LGBTQ as well. But, it's interesting because it is, as you said, it's two things. One, he seems to punch that ticket for a lot of the really kind of super white, far-right Republicans that they think, oh, we'll just get a minority and then everybody will vote for that person. And they don't even understand that. But your point about Bannon, I talked to a Republican guy earlier this week, and he said his theory is they know they're not going to win that seat, so they would rather run somebody who has no chance but really pushes all those MAGA buttons, and they think that that's a winning strategy.
Yeah, and that makes complete sense too. Again, they don't want anybody who is at all a sane kind of Republican, even a terrible right winger. A guy who's dangerous because it could stop us from holding the Senate is someone like Larry Hogan in Maryland. He's a sane, conservative Republican. So McConnell wanted him because McConnell wants to take the Senate. Donald Trump, I'm interested to see what Trump and the other folks do because he's exactly what the type of person like Bannon does not want. Bannon would rather lose a race than win with a Larry Hogan type guy because he wants people out there. And that's where I was saying this guy is dangerous. He will be out there spreading anti-Semitism, spreading his anti-LGBTQ message. He will get people harmed. He will inspire people to commit acts of violence. He'll do because that's what conspiracies about various groups of people, when you dehumanize them, do. And this is what Steve Bannon wants. So you're exactly right. And Steve Bannon also thinks probably that they have a shot at Minnesota and is hoping that this guy, I know.
Sure.
You kind of have to enjoy it, don't you?
Yeah.
And he thinks this guy will turn out every last lunatic from underneath whatever rocks they crawl out from under will come out and vote. if he's out there.
Yes, the South Loop in Chicago is going to go red too. Sure it is. Sure. No,
I wish. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it just is crazy. And this is something, even though this is a Minnesota story, this is something you're seeing nationwide. And it is going to be interesting. Maryland does run a little bit more on the left there, and I like Maryland a lot. Hogan is an old school Republican. It will be interesting to see if that state allows them to usurp him.
But he did also block increasing abortion rights while he was governor. He is still a conservative, and so he may not be as dangerous as the MAGA types. But if he empowers them, if he supports McConnell, and McConnell, who's just a puppet at this point, the real power in that power, among the Senate there, it comes from the folks like Ted Cruz and Hawley and people like that. Hopefully, all of them will lose this time, but whoever doesn't. It comes from that Rand Paul. I mean, that's where the power is. It's with the far right Russians, right? The ones that are really serving the Kremlin and are conspiracy theorists and nuts. So I mean, and racists, of course. So I mean, that's the thing is you can't have Hogan win. Because he's just, in the end, I don't care what he believes. Just like I don't care if Susan Collins is really just conservative or Murkowski is really just conservative. If they're willing to caucus with Republicans, they're empowering the worst elements in our society. Yeah, they're harming the rest of us.
And I was only referring to whether they come out of the Republican primary because I think that Democrat's going to win out there for sure. Cliff, once again, Cliff's Edge, of course, the latest video featuring me, that's up there. Cliff, have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, my friend.
You too. Thanks for having me on, man.
My pleasure. Cliff Schecter, let's take a break. We'll come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.